Hey, everybody. Welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McEllis, and what a wonderful day it is. I just wanted to give a big shout out and thank all of those who like, subscribe, share, and more importantly, leave us a comment or a concern or a question. In the description, every link will be there and available to you about our guest, about the program. So I just appreciate your support. So happy Monday Fun Day. And today I am very fortunate to sit in front of my friend, Kate Lumley. And, I'm just going to let her tell you about her and her journeys up to this moment and all the things that have that come to her mind that she'd like to share about herself today. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks, Sandy. It's so fun to be here with you. And I love your acronym, Keep It Spiritually Simple. And the complexity of what it is to live in alignment with our spirituality is quite a dynamic, isn't it? You and I met
Yes.
at a Soology Fest where we were both expanding and exploring our journey into greater self-awareness, self-love, self-worth through knowing those parts. And I'm so grateful that we both said yes to going there because a nice friendship is forged. And when you open up something as wide as go ahead and tell us about yourself, it's a big space to open up. And I'll do my best to just kind of navigate and have it be relevant. My story is my journey and it's my truth. And I don't expect others to attach to it. But my intention when sharing from my heart and my journey is that another may be inspired, not by me being me, but what is it when living in alignment with their truth? What would it look like? And what would be called forward through them? Because where I sit right now, Sandy, as you've known and forged a friendship with me, is a very aware, intentional being that's living in alignment with my divine plan and path. And that is to inspire one another by me being my innate gifts and abilities, sharing the love that I am, for another to be inspired to be theirs. Because in this journey that I'm recognizing that we're building community within humanity, each of us holds important parts of the puzzle. And I like to call that the buzzle. The thing that makes you feel warm and buzzy and you love to be, that's your piece of the puzzle, PEACE. And I know that for every challenge we've created for ourselves as a humanity, we some way created this game for ourselves to remember how smart and brilliant and creative and resilient we are. And I just share that now in wherever I am, in the ways that I am. Sure, it shows up in my corporate role or in my role as a mom to three beautiful children that are now 20, all 20. They're triplets. They showed up as a pack and a trio. That's what I call them, my treat. Oh, so you we could take this in many different directions. I just shared a lot. I'm a mom, a friend, a woman on a path of her spirituality. Where would you like to dive in together into all that rich space?
Well, I think many of us know what it's like to be a mom, but not a mom of three diapers in a row 20 times a day. That's a lot. And then you maintained a pretty good business relationship with the world as well as being a mom. So you want to tell a little bit about maybe your work history and then how it got you to, the queen seat of where you are now?
Sure, because I think every piece of the puzzle plays a part. And for us to recognize that everything that is happening to us is to us, through us, and for us. Even the things that maybe don't feel so great in the moment that they're feeling and happening for us, but they're still bringing us insights, and it's data points is what I like to speak to. Life experiences, it's we're now experientially able to understand something with greater awareness. I'd never been a mom before. I'd been a child inside of a home with two siblings, different ages, a sister 3 years younger than me and a brother 10 years younger. And yet, when the role became that of a mom, I understood relationships at a deeper level. I started to understand how much my parents loved me because I had a different perspective. Now, I was no longer the child, but I was now the mom, and experientially getting to see what that was. And it was a crash course in becoming a mom. I had been a nanny while I was in college to twins, newborn twins, which served me well and prepared me to recognize that triplets gave me an opportunity to receive so much love and give so much love, and also value the importance of systems. I wouldn't understand that until much later in my life as to the things that were being built through me and my consciousness. But every single thing that we receive is a blessing in disguise. Whether we have the ability to recognize all of its intrinsic value in the moments that it's happening, probably not. Would you agree with that? Like, you can look on things that you've had in your life and you later go, oh, now I get it.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Right? So that path of choosing to stay as a corporate businesswoman, at the time I was working in business development for a Fortune 100 company, of which I served for 27 years, and successfully, really doing a very important role of ensuring that men and women were safe, doing one of the most dangerous jobs in the world of offshore deep water drilling. So ensuring that they had what they needed, where they needed, in the time that they needed it, was my role. Creative solutions for global supply chain. And doing that while also navigating the very sacred relationship of being a mom and a partner, to their dad, and a student to my children, and a teacher and mentor to the children. You know our friend Ashley. You know Ashley Lee. You also met her at Sology. She and I have cultivated a word called mentoree. I love to play with words. That will come forward and be a space we navigate together, because the power of words is really tremendous. It's how we create vibration, frequency, and speaking those words with the codes. But a mentoree really does very appropriately share what I've come to know about what it is to be a mom. I knew when I was blessed with three beautiful souls that I was prepared to be a great teacher on a lot of levels. I'd had great parents that were great teachers to me. And yet I had no concept of the fact that I was a student to these three wise souls that were coming in. I love that part of the relationship, a mentoree. I'm teaching and learning in tandem. And it's a process that goes on for our lifetime, every age and every stage. Every stage has the word age inside of stage. It's just, where are we? And what are we being and doing? And what are we learning in these now moments? And at this stage, how are we feeling? How are we growing? Are we respecting one another? Beliefs. Let's talk about that for a second, right? Because I think on the spiritual journey, one of the greatest things that I had to do was release some of my beliefs that had been shared with me in good faith, good wisdom. It had been what was shared with them. And that's what we do. We share what we have to give. And how do you get insight that's different than a belief, which is something we go into agreement with through someone that we trust, of which we really don't have any experience about? Because if you have an experience, you're not in a belief system anymore. You're in a knowing system. You have wisdom, you have insight, you've tried something and you had an outcome. And so that becomes wisdom. And this journey of being a mom and going through a path with children that were sharing insights with me, that were very wise, that had me question a lot of my beliefs. And when we talk about keep it simple, spiritually, what is it? Keep it spiritually
simple.
Yes. It's easy to say that. And yet spirituality is really quite complex, because the universe is not obligated to explain itself to us, right? And we are each a universe. Inside of us, there's so much that wants to come out and be expressed and learned and remembered. And I use the word remembering because for me, that's really where I am in my process. It's that we really have so much more wisdom than we know. It's not only about learning, it's there. Information's there. And what experience is going to prompt something to come forward and be remembered?
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
say
I think we
you have
learn
some wisdom there.
yes, we learn a lot of that, through raising our children because it brings up situations or feelings in which maybe we experienced and maybe we didn't have an opportunity to have it turn out with a higher outcome as we would have liked. So we kind of rearrange that a little bit when we have our kids and we think back, what would have worked better with me? And what would have had a higher outcome if it had been handled differently with me? And then we work it differently with our children. And it has a deeper impact, but it also has the components of releasing past trauma drama that we've carried
Mm.
because we've undone a knot within the tightrope of the life that we're living in the programs that have been passed down, and we have an opportunity to jump over to another rope and say, hey, I think I want to do it this way with my kids or with my relationships with whoever's in my demographic circle or under my roof. So yes, we do. I agree with you.
I love what you just shared there. It's got a lot of layers to it, right? Because each person is going through their own life experience and has their own perspectives. And as we learn to have more compassion with one another for those things, like you just said, there maybe were some things that were traumatic in one's experience that another has no reference point or awareness of, or would be triggered by, or anything, wouldn't have insight about. And so, this life journey that we have with one another, our children teach us to be more compassionate with ourselves and one another because there's a learning curve that's perpetual. As soon as you start to figure out something in the stage that you're on to the next one, right? And so you're constantly having to move and remember. And I appreciate that you took from your own experience the interest in wanting to make improvements on some things that were maybe things you had learned maybe weren't working for you so well. I did the same thing in mine, and it wasn't about making wrong of my very loving, wonderful parents. No make wrong. However, in my own living experience, I realized that some of their core beliefs and thoughts that they had weren't necessarily my truths for no other reason than I just had different experiences and had different outcomes and didn't agree. No harm, no foul. I love them and they can have their beliefs. But self awareness and being willing to be, first enough, vulnerable to explore and try and not need to know the outcomes. That is one of the greatest things I've learned in my willingness to grow is not needing to be attached to what is going to happen. If I need to know what's going to happen before I happen it, I, I won't ever take any risk if I don't like what might happen. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I think setting a framework too for expectation. We are the creators of our reality, I've come to see and know and have built, my journey. Let's talk a little bit more about that corporate side of me. But the other part that you got to know me through Soulology and my path and my spiritual evolution, which my children kind of brought me on, was through navigating the space as a creator, as an artist, and creating your reality through your thoughts, actions, and beliefs. Well, your knowings is what I call them too. The knowings are replacing the beliefs. So as you're moving through your process, creating your reality, you're setting some intentions. That's like putting a marker on the where you want to go and what you want to build without being attached to the outcome. But you're setting an intention because you're moving on this quest in life on a map. And MAP for me is an acronym, My Awareness and Alignment Path. MAAP, My Awareness and Alignment Path. When you're out questing for the treasure in your chest in this game of life, to live your most inspiring life, you have to have some intentions. or you won't be aware as things come into alignment. That's it. You're on a path of progress, perpetually moving and expanding and growing into the more that we each are. There's so many different options. There's so many different choices. How would you ever choose if we don't set some intentions? Right? So navigating this path has been a journey for me. And the art gave it framework. It gave it the ability to build community inside of intentions of wanting more people to live more inspiring lives. I saw inside of a corporate structure a lot of opportunity to make income and have a job. And I'm not suggesting that it's not fun to have a job if that's what you love. However, what would it look like if you were able to create your lifestyle around that which you love to be and do and create income? Because right now, our world still operates in a fiat currency that is something we've all gone into agreement in that has value. But it only has value because we say so. The moment we say it has no value, it's really just paper. And anymore, it's not even paper. It's like people don't even touch money anymore, right? With all the digital banking, we're in a really great big place of trust. Trust that that money has value. We're the ones that give it value. It's our innate gifts and abilities, I see, that are our treasure. And we have inside of this fun little artistic realm that I created through the imagination that is called Utopia. It was a space and a place that was placed upon my heart in the way that I know it now in 2014 when I thought I was writing children's books to take some of the important lessons of expanding life with my children, who were then 9 years old, to teach them important lessons and utilizing fun little sheep characters to do it. The Ews, EWES, the love Ews. Stepping out of fear and sheeperation into love and unity consciousness was the intention. And that world that is in the imagination was very real to me and still is. People will say to me, well, why isn't it already manifest? It is manifest. It has so many different facets. People could say the same thing to you of your own dreams. Each one of us has something that's placed in our heart, and people want to know where it is, and they want proof, and they want evidence. I'd like to share, and if I impart one thing with anybody that's listening now or in the future, it would be that trust that whatever is placed upon your heart and that you knew, KNEW, first, could be real and true. It matters enough to you, and you choose to do it and take inspired action over time. You will create the NEW reality others can see, feel, and then agree on. However, you have to choose to be the proof. I'm the proof that utopia is real. I stand in that truth. I am that truth. What's your I am? I am proof. Your I am is your gift of God that He placed in your heart, universe, source, whatever you like to call that creative power that's greater than yourself, that interconnects each one of us, and we're each an aspect of. Let's not limit that to a word necessarily. It's an energy, it's a vibration, it's a frequency that is so powerful. And I have great reverence and respect for that. That is really, really what inspires me, is finding that part inside of each one of us. I know who I am. I'm a facilitator and a steward of emancipating humanity's brilliance, because I'm doing it inside of myself, Sandy. I'm doing it inside of myself, and by living inspired, other people get intrigued by that. They see something different in the energy and the signature of who I am and how I show up. I'm like, what are you up to? Just opens up lots of heartversations. I said heartversations. I use that word because it's a heart to heart where we connect and we get into rich dialogue about getting to know what we feel connected to, that we want to follow that trail and carry it through with experiences that teach us more and more. Life is a series of walking through cafeteria line, if you will, for a metaphor. Just, I'd like a little bit of that. I don't want any of that. I'd like some of that. No, no, I don't want any of that one. Sometimes you get what you don't want, but it is in the spirit of what Mick Jagger sang about. It's what you need,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's what we need sometimes to have us come to know more richly that which and who we are here to be at this time. And there's nothing simple spiritually about this time, this epoch of time. I call it the gold in heart age, the gold in your heart. It's the time to play your part. They all have the word art in it. Earth has the word art at the center of it. I think that's why we're on this PLAN IT, the planet. It's a big
Mm-hmm.
plan to evolutionize humanity and celebrate being able to come together in community, honoring one another and our different abilities. They're differences on purpose. We're not designed to be the same. If everybody's doing and being the same, we can't accomplish nearly as much as we can as our Creator sought and intended for us.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I went into trance listening to you. I'm like,
I
just
didn't
keep,
mean to do
I
that.
was like,
This is a heart to heart. I feel like I'm talking so
just
much.
keep going. And I, by the way, I wrote that word down, heart forsation. I put heart plus heart equals heart, heart, heart. So
Nice.
I'm going to be using that more often because that
Oh,
is very
please do.
powerful. But you know, being in these heart forsations, you being in your heart, me being in my heart, being in this space right now with the intention of just not having a whole lot of agenda, just allowing the heart to express with each other, you know,
Yeah.
is so very powerful, which is how you got to 27 years of corporate, raising 3 children till they're 20, and now starting off into this other journey that is very heartfelt and dear to you,
Indeed.
which is botany scientifics. So, you know,
Yes.
I would like to talk about, okay, so, you know, as we talk about these chapters that we live, you know, they open, they close, they open, they close. They've taught us a lot of things.
Mhm.
It's brought us clarity. It's brought us decision making. It's brought us to the point where we know kind of what we like, what we don't like. But the point of, you know, this whole heart thing right now is we are turning the tides to live what we love and to be able to
Yes.
sustain ourselves while doing it and not falling in and continuing with the 8 to 5, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and this is how things go, and this is how your schedule is. We're breaking free of all of that and saying, you know what? I want to create something different for myself and still be able to not just pay my bills, but have plenty of abundance and flow and prosperity in all angles of my life. Because whatever we do, we are rain falling all over those that we love and for others to follow us on this path. So we're forging ahead, pioneering maybe before others do. So we're learning our way. So maybe a little bit easier for those who follow, but it's landed you at Botany Scientifics. So I want to talk about this because, you know you had some reservations about it. And you know what? I have too for decades about hemp, CBD, all these things. I'm like, it doesn't work for me. Oh, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. And so I want to learn more about it as well because these plant based products are changing the world. And this
Oh, yeah.
particular company is extremely unique because of the way that it's not just regenerative agriculture. It's what do we call it? Locavore, which is local and eating. It's growing things exactly in one region. Um, and you know what? When I thought about that word, locavore,
Mm.
um, I thought about, even when we go to our farmers market, we've got people outside of 100 miles coming to the farmers market, right?
Yes.
Bringing produce and things to it. So we just like, but honeybees need to be closer to home in order to give you what they need in their honey to build the immune system and fight allergens. I thought about the local farmers market is not always so local. And also, the cattle hubs. You could have cattle from Washington State, California, Florida, upper state New York, all brought to the hub, all brought to slaughter, all spread out all over grocery stores. And then the leftover meats made into hamburgers. So you could be eating meats from multiple, animals. But with what Botany Scientifics is doing, from how I understand it, and I want you to explain it with your
There might
generative
be some
agriculture.
misunderstanding from what you're
Okay.
describing.
Okay, please do.
But at the same time, let's talk about just what you just said.
Yes.
So the world, I spent 27 years as a international rep, working globally. And it takes both parts. You have to think globally and operate locally in a small community too. Okay. So you can't ignore one area, because at the end of the day, Earth is one big neighborhood for all of us, whether or not we want to embrace that big a thought. At the end of the day, everything's interconnected and interdependent and benevolent. So what I choose to do right here today, I'm dialing in with you from Houston, Texas. The choices and actions that I take right here in this moment in Houston actually are impacting every single thing in the bigger picture and everywhere else. So we're all interdependent upon each other, making good choices. So you spoke about localization and locavore. When starting out and small, you can afford to do that, and you do that. However, when you scale up, you have to make other choices. Consciousness can still be part of the equation. And that is where Botany Scientifics is in its process. It's doing everything as it's growing and expanding into all that it is to be in a very conscious manner. So let's back up a little bit. How am I sitting in this seat? You're absolutely right when you said that I hadn't really explored the hemp space. I grew up in the era of Nancy Reagan teaching me as a young child, that drugs were bad for me. And the hemp plant, I was told, is a drug. Well, guys, all drugs and anything that we call a drug, in most cases, begins with a plant base. And then synthetics and chemicals and different things in labs can be done and created to create dosing and have things have predictability in the dosing, because plants aren't always predictable. So back in the 1800s, things started to shift from a very natural plant-based approach, where back in the 1850s, the hemp plant was distributed as a tincture in its oil for its healing properties by every major operator that we know today, that's still in existence today. The challenge is you can't patent a plant, and it's harder to regulate control about someone taking that formula if it's pure oil from the plant, which is what botany does. Botany is interested in keeping things in its intentional purity. And so it takes pure ingredients, aligns them and puts them together in formulations that support the endocannabinoid system. That's a word I couldn't even say, nor did I know that I had one. So when my friend Chris, who started Botany Scientifics 6 years ago, approached me and asked me to go into business development with his company, because he saw some of my innate gifts and abilities to build community as really important inside of these intentions. Soil, plants, community is what Botany Scientifics is building on. Solid foundation that's rich and regenerated with its nutrients and purity builds that foundation for the plant to grow and bloom. This is a metaphor as well for people and the bodies. You have to start with a good solid foundation. So if your endocannabinoid system is out of alignment, it really won't matter what else you be and do in terms of any Western medicine or even homeopathic and natural. It starts with your endocannabinoid system that you have 2 cannabinoid receptors for, your CB1 and your CB2. Your CB1 receptor regulates your ability to process your emotions in healthy, non-threatening ways. It also regulates your appetite. Your CB2 receptor, and that's cannabinoid, endocannabinoids. So the hemp and the marijuana plant, the cannabis plant, they have the highest concentrated number of cannabinoids, which is why these plants are so richly sought after for supporting the endocannabinoid system. And they all have different ways that they support us neurologically, gut health, through your emotional well balancing, being able to support that. But back to your CB2, that supports your ability to get your rest, inflammation, and the ability to process trauma, physical or emotional. Wow. As I started reviewing whether or not I wanted to get into this space, and I started to realize, wow, like if the endocannabinoid system is responsible for all of that, why hasn't I been spoken to about this? Why is this not something that we know about? I started asking people that are in my life, do you know about the endocannabinoid system? Do you know you have one? Do you know what it does inside of our bodies? It seemed that nobody I was talking to, and I'm talking about well-educated people, knew what I was talking about. So I started asking a couple doctors, do you know about our endocannabinoid system? And how do you work with regulating that for people? I'm not joking when I tell you, doctors didn't know what I was talking about. It's not even in medical books since the 1940s. It was taken out. Why? Why was that taken out of medical books and taught in schools? I was really curious about that because it seems really important to me. I know that a lot of disease is emotionally rooted. I know that from working with my dear friends like Ashley Lee, a critical care pediatric nurse, and Joseph Delaney, incredible I am wellness physician, MD, PhD. No, not MD. I'm sorry, PhD medical doctor. He is. He's just not a practicing doctor. So since 2015, all the heart conversations I'd been having with these professionals, it was just really remarkable to me that this system is not taught and the emotional dis-ease that comes about and our ability to regulate the body. Both of those practitioners really practice the use of breath and mindfulness to get the body regulated. Well, that's what you're regulating. You know, you are regulating your endocannabinoid system. So the hemp plant, of which Botany Scientific's 8 products right now, this is not a sales pitch. I'm just sharing with you. The company formulates itself very organically in that it has a great intention and awareness to help people meet where they are in their journey for their wellness. It has topicals in lotion and salves, and it also has ingestibles from a tincture and gummies that support the sleep, pain management, and inflammation. My massive jumping in point on my journey of discovery and exploring the benefits of hemp and the endocannabinoid system and how they work together, I decided to take, at the prompting of my dear friend Chris and the creator of the company, he said, the world would be a better place if everybody was on 25 milligrams of hemp oil every day. I was like, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, if you can reduce inflammation in the body and have people get into better relation with themselves because they can manage their emotions, the world will be a better place. If you have a better relationship with yourself, then you can have better relations with other people. As you have better relations with other people, you have better relations with your communities. Ultimately, that scales out to your whole planet. I agreed with him. After 6 weeks of being on this capsule, 25 milligrams a day, I no longer was living with pain in my body. I didn't have inflammation making my knees and my shoulder and neck that I had been living with for more than a decade, that I had just gone into agreement with, that this was just part of aging. No, no, no. Our bodies don't need to hurt. Our bodies are hurting because there's symptoms that something's out of alignment. And I had too much inflammation in my case. And it was a quick resolution and a quick solution. I'm not a doctor or making any medical claims. I'm saying that I'm the proof I choose to be. I don't need to write a white paper about the fact that my knees don't hurt. The evidence is that my knees don't hurt. I'm walking. I'm able to go out and exercise more regularly. That's helping me regulate my weight and getting the weight off my body, which makes me in turn hurt even less, right? So everything is synergistic. Everything's working together. And I so appreciate the integrity with which this company came into being. There's a lot of ways to be in the world. However, they do everything in good manufacturing practices in an FDA certified facility. There's costs associated with that, certainly. However, the cost of not doing it that way is far greater. When you're looking to bring a high quality product into the world with the intention of having them feel better, that's not the place to cut corners with unhealthy ingredients. So all of our hemp oil is sourced in the United States and has its certificates of analysis and has no pesticides and chemicals, nor is it GMO, because our body doesn't know what to do with genetically modified organisms. We just don't. We're learning. Our bodies are learning and everything adapts. But in the process of adapting, people create sometimes more challenges. And I appreciate integrity. I appreciated feeling good. I loved that the intention of the company was to make the world a better place by building better humans, having humans get back into alignment with their true nature. Nature and the natural plant. I've come to learn this hemp plant, I grossly was misguided. It's such a beautiful tool when done responsibly. I'm not even suggesting, nor am I inspired recreationally. I have no judgment around it. But I choose to embrace the hemp plant for its wisdom and its truth, not recreationally. Just the hemp oil that I enjoy in the 25 milligrams has no psychotropic activity. It just supports me in being able to not be, as my dear friend Angie Parker has said, be taken emotional fly fishing. Isn't that great?
I
The
love
way
that.
someone tries to cast a line and hook you and get you roped in. I'm just not able to be emotionally hooked anymore the way that I was before this came into my daily experience. It regulates my ability to process my thoughts and think about how I feel about them without reacting to a place that has me doing something that would be hurtful or harmful to myself or another. It just slows things down a little bit to have you get more in alignment with your true nature and the innate wisdom that dwells inside of each of us. That little ego part of us that wants to silence you after you've had a great, oh, yes, that's it. Oh, do you really think you're that good? Could you really do all that? That voice. It silences that voice to let you feel what you're feeling, move through maybe a little bit of fear, find your courage to try something new, and keep growing and growing, learning more about yourself, one another, and what it is and how it's going to be applied. What we're learning, why are we learning what we're learning? How do we want to apply what we're learning into making our world more inspiring? I wear this funny ring on my
I love it.
finger. I love it too. It's my inspiring to keep my eyes open widely, constantly seeking what wants to emerge and be seen. Things aren't an emergency, it's an emerge and see what is wanting to come and flow to me, we, us. We're all on our own path. We're each living in alignment with our own truth and progressing. And then we are intersecting our paths as we're out moving about. Who are we intersecting with? Why are our paths crossing? That's what I get curious about. When you live intentionally, you can recognize with greater awareness why you're being aligned with other beings. Will you have the courage to speak up to somebody that's 3 feet from you? They might need a smile, they might need an encouraging word, or something more. They might hold a really big puzzle piece or relationship to something that we are each building. And it's up to us to put the pieces together. So I'm one person out on the game board of life, moving about with great intensity, great awareness, great curiosity of what each of us is up to. Botany is creating tools that I believe help support the emancipation of humanity's brilliance. Because as it makes each person be more regulated in their endocannabinoid system, getting their body into homeostasis. I truly believe that that will help them call forward the art in their heart. So you can see how my whole life, the interconnectedness of all of the parts, the savvy businesswoman of cultivating and curating the skills of being able to have high-level conversations and hard conversations about critical pathing and putting big picture business together with the artsy fartsy, whimsical, wild, wacky, wonderful me that believes and is crazy enough to believe that we can save ourselves by being ourselves, right?
Yes.
So then I move into this space that is another tool in my tool chest. And it's one big piece of the equation. And I invited and asked my dear friend Ashley Lee to join me in this journey when I was evaluating it, because I knew that if I was going to be doing business development inside of a space that was going to be moving into the naturopathic nutraceutical space, I needed someone from that Western medical space that could speak to this with me from that medical perspective, not to make claims, but to understand more about the body. And my learning curve was going to be too fast and too much. And she said yes. So Ashley has joined as our healthcare expert, and we work together in tandem, now sharing and offering greater insight and awareness. The website is extremely helpful. There's so much that is opening up for people that are seeking natural remedies. You know, our government right now is speaking to these truths, and healthier ways are coming. Botany Scientifics is a company that's been getting ready to be ready. And it was an easy yes for me as I started to put all these different awarenesses together to realize that they were in alignment with my intentions to make our world a better PLAYCE. That was my play. That was my place to play and my part. And it's a joy. I love meeting so many different intentional community keystones, Sandy. This job has offered me the opportunity to go out into local communities and connect with people, because my role is to create distribution outlets for us to be able to reach more people faster. It's been a very successful online company for 6 years. Developing and getting one product to market is a monumental accomplishment for them, the Oppenheimer family. It's a mother-son team that built this from an intention to support, at the time, Shirley's husband and Chris's dad, who was not well as a result of being a military Air Force mechanic and being exposed to really harmful, hurtful chemicals that really affected his neurological system. And so they were inspired to create natural remedies, and this company came into being. And I'm so glad that it did. I'm so happy for humanity that it's here. Now, the opportunity is I get to create awareness for it. I'm not selling anything. The products, they work. So people that are seeking natural remedies, they're here because people have had the intentions placed upon their heart and inspired actions have been taken, and the integrity is impeccable. And it's just a choice now. It's which way do I want to go in creating my wellness?
Mm, that is very, very powerful. And you know what? I think a lot of the things that you've gone through, you're releasing the stigma. There's a lot of stigma because we've been programmed, mostly since the 60s. Oh, hippies, drugs, pot smokers, and people trying to avoid life and get out of reality, and, this, and the other. And, so a lot of people are apprehensive because of the psychoactives, you know. I don't want to be out of control. It doesn't make me feel good. But hemp has the non-psychoactive ingredients in it, as far as I know.
Mhm.
Again, I'm learning more about it. I went through a phase before where I was using some things, but I don't think the products that I was using were high enough quality. So it gave me sort of that false positive and then a quick drop get out of it, don't want to do it anymore. It's just not working for me. So the conversations that, you've had, and then looking up the website really started to intrigue me, because I'm all about these systems within the body. And we are at a place and a time and a platform right now where more people are hopping on. Hey, these synthetics are not working.
Right.
We've got to get back to natural. So just in the last 5 years, more people are making their own house cleaning products. They're doing their best to garden, even if it's just one or two things. Maybe it's just tomatoes, or something, trying to get something back to homeostasis where their body can assimilate what might resemble feeling healthier. We don't even know what that really truly means in this day and age because of all the pollutants that we've allowed to occur. And I do believe that this administration is also calling forth, hey, are you guys aware? But it's been because of the people that have been reaching out and saying, hey, did you know red dye or this or that, or seed oils or this and this? Are you aware of this? Are you aware of that? Are you aware of these hidden things that have been kept from you from understanding? And I think this is one of those things.
Awareness was really a key right there of what you just said. Are you aware? And until there is awareness, new actions won't be created. We don't understand or recognize that that is necessary. But through awareness, we can make different choices. And I think another thing that I just heard you say that I'd like to highlight is you've had some experiences with some other products that maybe were created with lacking some of the integrity, or not a complete process was followed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, right? Some people can try and rush to get a product to market to make profit, and they'll just cut some corners. But some of the consequences of that are that anything that's going to be ingested or applied to the skin as a topical really requires some regulation. And the industry has been under a lot of light right now, casting a lot of light on it. There's many states that are evaluating whether or not they're going to allow hemp to still be able to be legally purchased. Oh my gosh, we're all for regulation, but to eliminate and throw away the opportunity for people to find natural remedies, we've got to do more education for people to understand that this natural plant that occurs has extraordinary healing properties, and like anything else, can be tarnished and tainted and have other things included that are harmful. Let's get that regulated. Let's get that cleaned up so that we don't lose the right to have the natural remedy. As you were talking about all those different things of people's awareness just growing, and quartz is inside of cleaning chemicals. Respiratory problems are on the rise. Quartz is a direct reflection of what happens when we have too much chemical in the space that gets into our lungs and our respiration. But we can have good intentions to clean a space and have unintended consequences of some of the chemicals that are used in order to remove bacteria and other things that we don't want present in our living experience. Education, moving with integrity, and education is each of our responsibility, knowing what ingredients are, taking interpersonal responsibility for our wellness as we each clean up our own corner, our own homes, and take that responsibility, and then educate our friends on what we're finding and leading them to greater awareness of the things that we're learning. Those that are seeking the better solutions will listen. Those that are not ready yet, I would just invite you not to waste your time. They're just going to steal your thunder that you feel inside of you, that is your internal combustion, and make you start to wonder if you're crazy. Let me tell you something about being crazy. What I've come to learn is about there's a really good kind of crazy. And reasonable people, they don't make any shift and change. They conform with what is because it's reasonable enough. It's the crazy people who see that there's a better way. The ones that are saying, I don't want to conform to this. I've learned that this isn't good for me, and I'm no longer in agreement. And I have enough inspired action inside of my imagination to take this wisdom, start applying it in new ways. And that can be in any area of your life that you feel out of alignment. Know that if you're feeling called to a higher way, take that high way. It is your free way, that path to your most inspiring life. A good life can block you from your great life. A great life can block you from your galactic life. There are no limits other than those that we go into agreement with for how great life can be. I've committed to just staying on the path of how great can it be? Oh my gosh, this is so great. How I am so grateful. I give gratitude for every state of being. And that is a real key part. It's not about not being satisfied. I'm very satisfied. I have a great life. I just know it can get greater. So I'm not limiting that because the life is abundant, it's benevolent, it's interconnected. We choose to block abundance because we say, I have enough and nothing more.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I just am curious about how great can it get? I'm grateful. I keep learning how much greater it can be. Isn't that great? And I want that for everybody. But I'm not willing to do it for people because I know that I can't. Each of us must do that and choose that for ourselves. But I am here somebody saying, go, go, go. It's fun. And let's do it together. You know, building community, that's one of my greatest pleasures in life. I have a wonderful circle of friends that I love so richly and deeply. And, you know, I feel very called in this moment. I'd like to honor a life that chose to transition yesterday. As someone that was a mentor and a lifelong friend for me for more than 30 years, my friend Donna, she's someone that I've joined. We all have this person in our life, and this is the richness of life, is doing it together and sharing the great times, the challenges, the obstacles with one another. And most times you're not both low at the same time. And that's the great part of having partners. And Donna was one of my real spiritual advisors. She was a little bit older than me, and she had awakened to the spirituality parts of us before I had. So she had a lot of wisdom to share. And I think this is such an important part of the remembering in the process. As we remember, let's each be a lighthouse for the ones that are just starting to awaken to the higher truth and be willing to dispense some of that wisdom and share and let them know that they're on the right path to keep going. It's okay that that belief system that was given to you no longer feels comfortable to you and that you're outgrowing it. There is more for you on the other side of that suit. Get into it. Get in pursuit of what feels good to you, and great things will happen to you over and over and over. So I honor her life today and what she played a part in my growth in every area of life. May we each find friends and family that be and do that for one another. I think that's the greatest gift we can be for one another.
Mm. Wow. What a wonderful friend to have. She's still here. She's just not in the suit, you
It's so
know?
true. It's so true. She's not in the suit, but her presence is felt.
Yeah.
I feel it, and I do feel it, and it brings me peace.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can feel that from you. And I'm sure all who are listening can feel that as well. And we are at a time now where, you know, I'm not going to go into the transitions and people going over, but if we're going to be here, let's do our best to live at least as pain-free as we can. And inflammation is such a core of that. And every time something happens to the body, mentally, physically, emotionally, it gets surrounded by what's called, let's just say it's a sac of fluid like inflammation that's saying, hey, can you listen to me? Can you help me? Can you work with me? Can you release me? You don't have to carry it around like it's a badge of honor. Oh, this is giving me pain because of this or that. And to know that there's plant-based products and that there's places and things that can allow us to go to websites and understand more about it. And,
Yeah.
who doesn't want to feel fantastic? There are people out here that don't want you to feel better than they do. They want you to be in their misery. And you know what? You know what I say to that? The hell with you. You do what you do, you boo. Let me do me. And if I'm happy all the time, don't ask me why. It's just because I feel good and I choose it. I
Right.
choose it. And so I really want to know more about this. What is it? Endocannabinoid
The
system?
endocannabinoid system. I couldn't even say that.
I don't even know
I'm
if I
so
just
proud
said
of myself. Back in October of 2024, I couldn't even say endocannabinoid system. I'd have
okay.
to look it up every time in order to say it. But Dr. Rachel Knox, she is from Portland, Oregon, and she did a 15-minute video that you can find out on YouTube. Look her up on the endocannabinoid system. It's so educational. I watched that and my life was transformed. It had me shift careers. I'm not joking. Recognizing the importance of the endocannabinoid system, I shared with myself, I'm ready to commit the next chapters of my life educating people on this very important system that I believe, as it gets regulated inside of each one of us, our ability to have a more fulfilling life, being in alignment with our true nature and our gifts and abilities, and pain free, living without pain. It's that important. Rest, appetite, ability to process trauma, balancing your emotions, and inflammation is what your endocannabinoid system is. Get to know your
Mm.
PCS, get it in homeostasis. Find companies like Botany Scientifics that have tools to support you. We're not asking you to stay and get on a plant-based product and stay on it forever. You don't need to stay on it forever. You need to remember what it feels like to feel great. And the body gets out of alignment due to our environment, our emotions, our relationships. Toxicity comes in many forms. Clear out that, get the body regulated, and start to see how great your life can be. And then I would invite each of us not to limit that greatness. Just be grateful and keep going, to keep seeing how great it can be. Our spirituality, our soul knows no limits. We limit ourselves inside of our physical bodies. It is so important to respect the body and adapt with the body. These plants are called adaptogens. Isn't that appropriate? They help us adapt to the things that are out of alignment, to get us back in greater awareness of what it is to live in alignment with our true nature. That's what I love. Taking and setting an intention every time I take the capsule or a tincture in my tea. Oh, the possibilities is what I say. What is wanting to flow to me, for me, through me, that I may share with the world? All of us have a part to play in making our world better. It begins with each of us. Make your world better for you first. You have nothing to give if you're not full. When the plane is going down, they say at the beginning of every flight, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting another. Because if you aren't able to be able to serve because you're in good condition, you'll have nothing to give. If you try and help everybody else before you get yourself in alignment, that's not the right formula. Each
Mm-hmm.
one of us come into greater self-awareness, self-love, and self-worth. Operate that way. Command the respect that you deserve, not a belligerently way, just from a place of knowing your worth and owning that. And by honoring everybody else's worth. No one is more worthy than another. We each have incredible value, and no one is more important than the other. We're interdependent of one another. And it's a
Yeah.
benevolent world we're building.
Yeah,
This
we're
idea,
stepping off that merry-go-round of, everybody, especially women, everybody else comes first, we come second, and then we experience such burnout but it's what we're transferring to our children and they're turning around doing the same thing. Or do we just stop, drop, sit, connect with our breath and connect with higher quality products that are going to bring more balance so that we can feel ourselves evening out on the teeter totter and saying, oh, so this would, oh, hold on a second. I haven't felt like this in forever. And it doesn't have to be a fleeting glimpse of it. It could be like, I could feel like this all day and I could feel like this tomorrow without feeling all woohoo, I'm not in control. So I think learning about this system and this products are going to be extremely educational because you cannot make a choice any which way until you really have all of the information. You can't believe what someone else says. You can't take everybody else's, you got to learn it for yourself and be able to
Totally.
feel that and then make an educated decision, yay or nay.
100%. And a great way to do that is ask Ashley on botanyscientifics.com. There is a blog and you can go in and ask a question and it'll come back. And there's a lot of questions that have already been asked that people can go out and look at that blog and start to address it. There's great information. She's written a nice article on the endocannabinoid system and how to support that and what it is and how it serves us. And getting it into regulation is a very good choice.
Absolutely. And I would just love to invite you back to go into more details about these products and Botany Scientifics.
I'd love to bring some of my funny friends. If
absolutely, I would
bring in
love
Chris,
it.
The owner, and the healthcare expert, Ashley Lee.
Yes.
That would be wonderful. So let's do that.
Absolutely.
Let's get it scheduled and I'll get us aligned.
Super.
I thank you so much for the opportunity to just share my own personal journey with the intention and hope that someone would just say, what is it that would make me feel so alive, that would be in alignment with my true nature? That's it. Because when we put those pieces together, we create the SUM thing, wonderful. SUM thing, ONEDERFUL, wonderful. One piece at a time. We put those parts together, one by one. And it's just so beautiful. I love being me. I love meeting everybody else being them. And when we do it, life's a joy.
It is contagious. It's contagious. Yes, thank you. It's contagious being around you for sure.
Oh, thanks so much. I enjoy it. It's fun. I hang around me all the time.
I love it. And we're going to do more of this. So listen, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in with Keep It Spiritually Simple. Thank you to our guest, Kate Lumley and Botany Scientifics. We're going to learn more. We're going to have a round 2. So pay attention, like, subscribe, share, and leave us a comment if you have some things that you'd like us to discuss on the next show. All right. So say goodbye, Kate.
Bye. Thanks so much. Love the opportunity with the shiny light of you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.